This week on the Rutledge Perspective, let's talk action. And I want you to bear with me a little bit because those of you who've been listening for a while know how my brain works. Things come out of who knows where and they pop up and I'm like, let's talk about that. So it is September of 2022. It's my birthday month. It is Action Month. Along with my program, Alignment Vision Action, kind of the third month of the quarter is Action Month. And so I've been thinking a lot about action. I actually joined an accelerator program myself here for the end of the year because, we still have 4 months left. And so to take that opportunity for my own learning and growth so that I can serve you guys better and to work more and delve more into my business so that it becomes what I want it to become as I move forward is a lot to do towards the end of the year. And the whole thing got me started about action. Energy, having the energy to actually make things happen, continuing to have the energy to learn and grow, mastering your craft, really giving yourself an opportunity to not only put yourself on the list around all the things that you want, but taking empowered action. That's why I call myself an empowered action activist, taking empowered action to actually make things happen. And so as I was preparing for this podcast, this really weird thing popped into my head and it said, I wonder why they call them action figures. Those little things that are usually some kind of superhero or something, and they're usually targeted at boys, not girls, but they call them action figures. And I watch old TV. Very few new things do I watch other than Equalizer with Queen Latifah. Very few new things do I watch. Mostly what I watch is old. Mainly because I don't want to get caught up in some series and then have to be running my life around being able to catch the series before somebody tells me what happens. And in one of the shows, Rizzoli and Isles, which has been off the air for a long time, two of the characters are actually having this beef around an action figure. It looks to be an old Transformer action figure. And at one point, the character Jane calls it a doll, and both Frankie and Frost are like, it's an action figure. And I started thinking, they do call them action figures. And if you think about all of the characters that end up with that name, action figure, they're usually some kind of superhero, or they are someone who actively does something when something happens, right? They respond to a situation with action. And so while we talk about having our own superpowers and recognizing those superpowers. And I talk a lot about getting aligned. We just had the 5-day alignment series, the activated alignment series, and really getting clear on who you are and where you are. And that next step is that Clarify Your Vision Masterclass, which is coming up on September 13th of 2022. And it's all about moving from alignment to vision, right? To action. And so that whole idea of an action figure being a representation of someone or something that actually doesn't stand still, that makes a conscious decision to do something, is quite an interesting thought process, right? It's quite an interesting state because often we get into analysis paralysis. And that used to be a term that people used all the time. I don't hear it as much anymore, but it's that idea that we think about things so much and we never move into action. One of my coaches used to always say, imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. Just do something. Just take a baby step. And even in this 90-day accelerator course, they talk about don't wait till something is perfect before you put it out there. There have been a couple of people who are like, I don't even have the class done yet, but I've already sold it and there are people ready to go. And so now that I know it's something that people want, now I can expend the energy to make it happen, which is a very interesting take on action. We define sometimes action as delivering the solution, moving towards a solution, which is true, right? You want to take action to get something accomplished. But another way to look at action is simply movement. Simply movement. Taking that baby step. Saying, I've got an idea. I'm not sure it makes sense to me. I'm not sure if it makes sense to anyone else. Let me take action by doing some market testing or by just putting it out there and see if anybody sells. And I reserve some of my resources, energy and time and potentially money in the development of the thing until I know that the thing really makes sense in the market or for whatever thing I'm trying to provide. The action has still occurred, right? I've taken a baby step. I've asked some people. I've posted some things. I've done whatever it is I needed to do to get prepared. But then I'm allowing myself the opportunity to then take that information, right? That data from which I can get insight in order to use my resources wisely, because time is not renewable. And often, at least for me and for many of you who are that type A insecure overachiever, right? And for me, I think I've told you guys, time I've found is a really big thing for me. This idea around time and mortality and not having enough of it. It's a big thing for me that I work on constantly. And so by taking these baby steps, you give yourself a time to reflect and then actually enable yourself to move more expeditiously. I used to always say, sometimes you got to go slow to go fast. Sometimes you have to go slow to go fast. In other words, taking time to prepare, proper prior planning prevents poor performance. And by doing so, then you're able to move actually faster. So it's not that you lose time. It's just that the same amount of time starts out slow and then speeds up because the information you have and the data you've gathered and the insight you've been given enables you to move much more expeditiously towards the end goal. So action and taking action doesn't always look the same for everybody and doesn't always mean the same thing depending on what's going on at the time. Action is simply movement. It is something other than stagnation, something other than standing still. And if we think about having some additional time, because we still have 4 months left in this year, 4 incredible months, 4 long months, even though we have some holidays sprinkled in there. We've got 4 months to make some things happen. It is our opportunity to be that action figure, to take action, to achieve, or to at least get closer to the thing we say we want. Because that's the other piece of action. Identifying what the actions are you're going to take and what the expected outcomes will be from those actions, right? Clarifying that vision, managing expectations, understanding the ultimate outcome that you desire, and then being able to evaluate the actions that you take, the movements that you make as it pertains to getting to that ultimate goal. Action is more than the superhero saving the damsel in distress. Action is about movement. So as you enter these last 4 months of the year with me, and we both try to make sure that we are staying in action, let's give ourselves a little bit of grace, because it also is coming up on that holiday season. It is the 3rd year of this pandemic. It is nuts out there right now. In the US, we're coming up on a big election season. There's just a lot going on and everybody is stressed out. So let's give ourselves some grace. Second, let's think about action as movement. What movement can we make in these last 4 months that get us closer to where we want to be? Because we are aligned. We know who we are and where we are. And let's get really clear on those expectations and manage them both for ourselves and for others so that we are positive in where we're going as opposed to giving ourselves more and more opportunity to beat ourselves up. Everybody's hustle looks different. Everybody's grind looks different. Everybody's desires and outcomes are different. And there is plenty for everyone and there is abundance for everyone. So take these last 4 months and figure out what your action is going to be. And then join me. If you're listening to this in early September, join me for the Clarify Your Vision Masterclass that's happening on September the 13th from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can go to my website, laurelrutledge.com, and you can register there, and you'll get the Zoom link that morning. Otherwise, I hope to see you at something that I'm doing and in my communities that are coming in 2023. Lots coming your way for us to be able to work together to get aligned to clarify our vision, and to move into empowered action. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning into the Rutledge Perspective podcast. We made it past 12,000 downloads, and I was able to give away the 2 swag boxes, and we are going for 2,000 more in the month of September, my birthday month. We are going for 2,000 more. I have some amazing interviews that are coming up this month, and so I hope you will tune in and help me get to another 2,000. Wanting to end the year strong by connecting with all of you. And I appreciate every listen, every download, every share. Thank you so much. And if this meant something to you, if it triggered something in you, please share it with someone, as it may do the same for them. Take care. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Bye. You have been listening to the Rutledge Perspective podcast. Thank you so much for downloading and for connecting. You can find previous episodes of the podcast on my website at laurelrutledge.com/podcast. You can also find me on social media at Laurel K. Rutledge and/or The Rutledge Perspective. And I'd love your perspective on the things we talk about. And if there's a specific topic you want me to cover, just let me know. And please share this podcast with someone in your village who may need this little piece of perspective today. And if you're so inclined, I would really appreciate a 5-star rating and review on the platform of your choice. Apple Podcasts and Spotify reviews are particularly helpful. Thank you again for listening. Take care.